One of the greatest feelings as a grape grower and winemaker is to step from your car on a cool fall morning, to look down the lines of grapes, and to imagine the wines that will come from that beautiful fruit. See the sun making the leaves of the vines glow, and looking up at the fall colors in the trees. It's spectacularly beautiful, heartwarming, satisfying. We've got a really strong winemaking and grape growing team at Bel Lago, and it all starts with the work that Tomas as vineyard foreman and his crew do in the vineyard. Tomas knows exactly what sorts of flavors and textures and colors we're looking for to make the wines that we produce at Bel Lago. When Tomas delivers the grapes from the vineyard, Blake and his winemaking team, Kyle and Joe, take over. With the red grapes, the winemaking team crushes the grapes, but then ferments them on the skins, and they sit to extract color and flavor for up to a couple of weeks. And our red wines are aged for 12 to 36 months in barrels. So we are really patient red winemakers because our goal is to produce great red wines. We never know what each vintage is going to bring us. We pay rapt attention to details in both the vineyard and the winery. It's that combination of science and creativity and attention to detail, I think, that sets Bel Lago apart and helps us make really great wines. It's really wonderful, and we're blessed to be winemakers and grape growers. Walking in the vineyard just simply makes me happy and inspired. To think about the wines we'll make, to look at the vines on the trellis full of leaves. Grapevines are really amazing plants. They start out growing in May, and by June, they've generally filled the trellis. This is probably the most inspiring time of the year for winemakers. This is the time when we can actually start to dream about the wines that we're going to create from this year's vintage. And we start to pick grapes and taste them, and we're tasting for tannins or an overall flavor and trying to decide when the balance is perfect in this fruit. And it's a really critical part of the artistry of winemaking, and that's really where it starts. I like to think about winemaking as if we were painters putting paint on a canvas. So we have this vision about what we'd like to have the wine become, and our goal is to create that wine, put that flavor and texture into the bottle. This time of year in the vineyard, we're really setting up the vines for the entire season. So we're pruning the vines. If you notice the plants that are unpruned, they've got hundreds of buds on them. And we only want about 40 buds per plant. Here at Bel Lago, we prune everything by hand. And one of our goals is to concentrate the fruit in zones on the trellis. It helps us maintain good sunlight penetration, helps us with disease management, and it helps us capture nicer, fuller, brighter flavors. If you look at the buds right now, the first thing that happens is those bud scales crack open a little bit, and that's when you know that the bud's actually starting to grow. You know, when you take the vines from that dormant period and the season begins anew, it's always exciting. All of this is about creating a scenario where we can grow really high quality, flavorful fruit so that we can make great wine.